Disney's Animal Kingdom was the fourth and most recent park in Walt Disney World. The park is meant to showcase the wildlife of the present, past, and fantasy. Well, until Disney ruined it by getting rid of the prehistoric aspect of the park. 5-year-old me was so intrigued by the sense of wonder of the park that it made me who I am today, and every revisit over the years strengthens my opinion that this park is more than just a zoo. Let's like and review all 7 rides at the park and see how they all hold up. Oh, and by the way, I never went on the former ride, Pranville World, because I was too short, and by the time I returned in 2022, the ride had been torn down. Rest in pieces.
Disappointment in the game of life!
Triceratops Spin is easily the worst ride in Animal Kingdom, and anybody over the age of 7 can agree. I mean, it's a cheap carnival ride in a park made by a company known for their immersive experiences. What else is there to be said? Basically Dumbo without the iconic associated character attached to it. This ride is for kids, and that's fine. It's just unfair to put this at the same standards as a real Disney attraction.
I see, she's taken a barnacle and she's covered it in bioluminescent algae.
Who on God's green earth would wait over 60 minutes for a slow-moving boat ride? Okay, maybe I should calm down a bit. Na'vi River Journey is just underwhelming with nothing really going for it apart from the Na'vi Shaman of Songs animatronic that is so lifelike with its movements and expressions, but it really looks like Disney put most of the budget into this one impressive animatronic while leaving only breadcrumbs left. If this ride had at least a drop and maybe some animatronics to the fauna we see in the Avatar films, it would be better. If you enjoy this ride, that is great. And maybe you prefer the more laid-back, calm experiences rather than thrills. Na'vi is a good ride to go on when you need to relax for the day, if wait times weren't so absurd.
You're afraid to get wet!
Kali River Rapids is a ride for people who like getting their clothes drenched and ruined for a week, or maybe you just need to cool off in the blazing Florida heat. This ride manages to be better than Na'vi River because at least it has a drop, and the inclusion of deforestation themes ties into the park's theme of conservation as a whole. It would have worked better as a water park ride, and while I don't mind getting wet on rides, my clothes should not be put in this amount of pain. Fortunately, we're about to get into what I refer to as the Big Four of this park.
God creates dinosaurs. God destroys dinosaurs.
Dinosaur, or Countdown to Extinction as it was originally called, is such an awesome ride.
Well, this sucks.
If the effects were actually working. But ignoring how little refurbishment this ride has gotten over the years, Dinosaur is full of thrills, twists, and turns with animatronic figures that look very cool. I mean, the Carnotaurus is really intimidating and sick, and the other dinosaur animatronics are very detailed too. In addition, the pre-show has its charm to boot, despite being kinda 90s. But I cannot bring up the dinosaur attraction without addressing the mastodon in the room. The potential Tropical America's Land that will replace Dino Land, with Dinosaur being replaced by what I assume to be a port of the Indiana Jones ride in California. I strongly despise the idea of replacing Dino with a bunch of IPs that don't make sense. I did visit Disneyland over April break, and I will say Indiana Jones is a cool ride, but the prehistoric aspect of Animal Kingdom is integral to its theming, and I'd be very upset to see that go. I'm totally up for a South America land in the park, but would it really hurt to simply use the empty land between Asia and Planet Launch? Anyways, I kind of went off topic, but Dinosaur is really cool, and please do not replace it.
It's a Yeti fighting pack. If I don't have a Yeti, it's just a fighting pack.
Story time. So, on my first 2 visits to Disney's Animal Kingdom, I didn't want to ride Everest because I was too scared. Understandable. Fast forward to 2022 when I returned, the ride was closed for refurbishment, and finally in 2023, I got to ride Everest for the first time after 11 years, and oh my gosh, my golly, it's really awesome. The outside show building is heavily detailed and is massive. The ascent gets your blood pumping as you expect a huge drop, only for it to be nothing until you get to a broken track, and then go backwards. The ride concludes with seeing the super technically impressive Yeti animatronic that must have been even cooler when it was moving, as it's been in B mode due to its structural issues. Anyways, Everest is definitely the roller coaster of the century, and it is such a shame that this was the last attraction Disney not to be based on a pre-existing IP, as Disney ever so wants to cash on the success of the Wizarding World of Harry Potter at Universal. Lastly, could we get a movie adaptation of this ride, please? I know movie ride adaptations haven't worked in the past, but come on!
Kilimanjaro. Killjoy.
If there's one experience that's defined who I am, it's Kilimanjaro. When I first boarded that safari jeep and trekked through the Harambe Wildlife Reserve, I wanted to be a zookeeper, because witnessing animals in cleverly simulated environments and the tour guide who basically knew everything there was to know motivated me to learn more. Personal story aside, the design of this ride I find very genius, as it makes you feel like you're actually on the Great Plains of Africa with all the animals roaming free. However, you don't notice all the cleverly placed natural barriers and elements keeping the animals in. I love how the Ituri forest section in the beginning has primarily animals of the real-life region, including the bongo antelope, okapi, and dukirs. Infamously, the lions on the ride, which are always sleeping, look like they could just walk right up to you, but there's a hidden ditch that keeps them in. These bears are all over the place, and honestly, I think more zoos should try this. It's not only is it more natural, but it looks very impressive. In fact, when I play Planet Zoo, I've actually used a lot of these kind of natural barriers to make, my zoos more immersive. But anyways, Kilimanjaro Safari is one ride for the ages and it's very special to me. Also, can you imagine in some alternate universe where Kilimanjaro Safari was in Asia instead of Africa? Meaning we'd be seeing animals like tigers, Asian elephants, and water buffalo. I don't know, just kind of funny to think about.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Flight of Passage has got to be one of the most blood-pumping, adrenaline-producing experiences in all of Animal Kingdom, and maybe even the entire resort. I haven't even seen the Avatar movies, and this ride blew me away with it. The movements, visuals, and who couldn't forget the smell. The smell of the ride just puts you right in the middle of the experience of flying on a Banshee. And shockingly, the ride is able to tie into the conservation themes of Disney's Animal Kingdom with a pre-show explaining how the Banshee is a keystone species and how Pandora has been pillaged by deforestation. The only gripe I have with this ride is that the pre-show drags on way too long. It's engaging the first few times, but after getting the lowdown on the history of Pandora, linking your avatar to the blah blah blah, and you just think, can we just get the show on the road, please? But overall, other than that, Avatar Flight of Passage is basically a perfect ride. It has the perfect amount of length, it isn't too short, it's amazing, and it definitely is a ride that I hope we have more of, like, in the future. And honestly, it's crazy to say, I'd actually wait 2 hours for this. It's that worth it. And that's that. We just ranked all 7 rides of Disney's Animal Kingdom, and they're all mostly kind of good to even amazing. While Animal Kingdom might not have as much rides as other parks, it's still a very well-detailed park that I would go to over and over again if I could. Whenever I hear people say that, oh, Disney's Animal Kingdom's a half-day park, you don't need to go to Animal Kingdom, it's a waste of time, it's a waste of money, I just think, are you only there just to do Flight of Passage and Navi River Journey? Because if so, aren't you gonna stop and take time to appreciate all the little details that were put in? Animal Kingdom, all the lands have their own story to it. Even Dino Land, even though the Dinorama place looks cheap, it still has its own story to it, and that's what's special to Animal Kingdom about me. It's the story, all of the themes to it, and that's why it's important. So, yeah, Animal Kingdom is an amazing park, and it's very special to me, and one day, I hope that one day, I'll be driving the truck on Kilimanjaro Safari. Wait a second, did I forget something? I think I'm forgetting something. Oh wait, it was a Discovery Riverboats, that one ride that lasted like a half a year. And when the park first opened, yeah, I wasn't even born yet.